You wake up and feel it again. That same familiar pattern. You promised yourself yesterday would be different, but today looks exactly like every other day. You open your phone for a few minutes, and suddenly 1 hour disappears. You tell yourself you'll fix it tomorrow, but tomorrow never feels any different. Now imagine something uncomfortable. What if the problem is not your motivation, not your discipline, not even your habits? What if the problem is that you are trying to fight something the wrong way? And what if ancient Chinese philosophers already solved this problem thousands of years ago, in a way so simple that most people ignore it completely? Stay with this video until the end, because the final principle is the one that quietly separates people who stay stuck from people who become unstoppable. You don't lack consistency, you lack a system that makes inconsistency difficult. Ancient Chinese thinkers didn't rely on motivation, they didn't rely on emotional discipline. They built structure around human weakness instead of fighting it, because they understood something most people still don't. If you need to force consistency every day, you are already losing. There is a reason why some people slowly become dangerous in their discipline, while others restart their life every Monday. And it has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with how they think. Today, you will learn the Chinese method to become dangerously consistent, not through motivation, but through strategy, environment, and identity. You think your problem is laziness, but laziness is not the real issue. Laziness is just a symptom. The real problem is friction. Too much friction to start, too little structure to continue, and too many distractions that reset your progress every day. Ancient Chinese strategist Sun Tzu once wrote a principle that applies perfectly here. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war. In other words, they don't rely on willpower in the moment. They design victory in advance. So the first principle is not about doing more. It's about making failure harder. Principle number 1, remove the battle before it starts. You don't resist bad habits. You redesign your environment so they lose power. If your phone destroys your focus, you don't fight it, you move it away. If junk food controls you, you don't debate with yourself, you don't buy it. If distraction is easy, you make focus easier. Because consistency is not built in the moment of temptation. It is built hours before it ever appears. Principle number 2, think in days, not identities. You make one of the biggest mistakes every time you try to change. You think, I need to become a disciplined person. That identity feels heavy, too heavy. Ancient Chinese wisdom breaks it into something simpler. Not, I will change my life, but I will win today. One day is easy. A lifetime feels impossible. And consistency is nothing more than a chain of easy days that were never broken. Principle number 3, you are not your first thought. There is an old Chinese idea. Your mind is not your master. It is a field of impulses. Some push you forward, some pull you backward. Most people obey the first impulse, but dangerous consistency begins when you stop reacting instantly. There is always a gap, a small space between urge and action, and in that space, your future is decided. You don't need to eliminate impulses, you only need to stop obeying them immediately. Short story, The Man and the Rope. There is an old Chinese parable. A man once came to a master and said, "My habits control me, I cannot escape them." The master took a rope and tied it loosely around the man's wrist. Then he tied the other end to a wooden post and said nothing. The man struggled immediately. He pulled harder and harder, but the rope didn't break. The master finally spoke. "Why are you fighting so hard?" The man replied, "Because I am trapped." The master smiled. "You are not trapped. You are holding the rope." And suddenly the man understood. Most of what controls you only works because you continue to engage with it. Principle number 4, replace, don't resist. If you remove something without replacing it, You create a vacuum, and the mind hates vacuum, so it fills it with the old pattern. You don't quit scrolling. You replace it with something that gives reward. You don't stop procrastinating. You replace it with a 5-minute action. You don't remove habits, you redirect them. Consistency is not about elimination, it is about substitution. Principle number 5. Small actions are a strategy. You underestimate small actions because they feel meaningless in the moment. But ancient Chinese philosophy understood accumulation. Water does not carve stone by force. It carves it by repetition. One small action means nothing, but repeated actions reshape identity. The problem is not doing too little. The problem is stopping too early. Principle number 6. Systems beat emotion. You will not feel motivated every day, and that is not a problem. It is reality. So the solution is not emotional control, it is mechanical structure. Same time, same trigger, same action. No negotiation, no debate. Because every time you negotiate with yourself, you weaken consistency. Principle number 7, the final principle. This is where everything changes. Most people try to become consistent. But ancient Chinese thinkers focused on something deeper. They focused on identity through repetition. There is a difference between, I am trying to be disciplined, and I don't break my pattern. One is fragile, the other is automatic. You don't become dangerous through motivation. You become dangerous through identity repetition. Every time you show up, you reinforce a version of yourself that does not quit. And one day, you stop making decisions because the decision has already been made thousands of times before. So now, go back to where this started. That version of you who keeps restarting, who keeps failing and promising change tomorrow. The truth is simple. You don't need a new life. You need a new pattern, because one day, you will look back and realize something powerful. You were never trying to become consistent. You were simply deciding whether to continue or to break the chain. And the people who become dangerous in life are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who never break the chain long enough for struggle to matter. One day, people will call you consistent. They will call it discipline, but you will know the truth. It was never discipline, it was design. And that is what makes it dangerous.